A pale napkin was pinned under the fork handle on the inside table by the window. Even in the dim, the 6 words were big enough to read. We stole. We stop now. Noon. Under the words, in smaller print, someone had added a line with a neat hand. Sit. Smile. Say it. Agent 47's mouth moved like he wanted to spit and then decided not to. He's filming, he said. Mara nodded. Sugar jar. Or the napkin holder. Or both. He likes simple things dressed like nothing. Perimeter, the agent said into his radio. No uniforms at the door. If he wants a show, don't give him one. Copy, someone whispered back. Rain cut most of the rest. They moved. The bell over the diner door chimed tired and high. A cold draft hit them. The place smelled like burnt coffee and grease that lived in the tile. Home, in a way, cheap and loud and honest. Cracked sugar jar near the register. A napkin holder like a small metal house. A little star sticker stuck under the corner of the counter. His mark. Her stomach pulled hard and then let go. Agent 47 lifted a hand, palm flat. Wait. He slid behind the counter, crouched, and followed the outlet cords with careful fingers. He found a black square the size of a pack of gum taped under the napkin holder, its tiny lens looking out through a pinhole punched in the steel. He pointed. Mara leaned close. The O and stop on the napkin wasn't ink. It was the pinhole. Cute, she said. He pinched the wire with a cloth and cut it with a small tool. The square died without drama. He checked the sugar jar next. Under the lid, another eye stared up. He killed that too. Then he flicked his eyes toward the ceiling fan. One of the blades had a bump. He reached up with a towel, felt the bump, and twisted. A button camera came loose in his hand like a bug. 3 feeds, he said. At least. 4, Mara said, pointing at the little chrome bell by the kitchen pass. Inside that. The bell's hollow. He popped the cap. Another dot lens blinked once and went blind. He exhaled. Okay, he said. He can still have ears somewhere, but he's not getting his movie. Mara walked the booths the way she would have when she was a kid with a rag and a bottle. She slid a hand along the vinyl. She crouched to look under the corner table where the leg wobbled. She checked the exit by the kitchen. She pushed the stuck place on the bell with 2 fingers until the spring freed. In back, the agent asked. She nodded. They moved through the swing door into the narrow kitchen. A long grill. 2 old fryers that had seen too many Friday nights. A shelf with chipped plates. The back door had 3 locks. They were all still set. No one out this way, the agent said. Or he has the key, Mara said. And he locked it again on his way out because he likes you to think. They came back out. The window held the gray morning like an aquarium. Something about the light made her feel like time had slowed to a crawl so she could count each breath and stack them in a line. 2 minutes, the radio hissed. Eyes outside. Nothing moving except the rain. No van. No Leon. Agent 47 turned a chair around and sat on it backward at the counter like he had known the place longer than a minute. He placed his phone on the formica. He wanted us here, he said. He wants 9 o'clock to be his scene. Then we ruin his scene, Mara said. He looked at the napkin. You sure you want those words to live with your name? Yes, she said. Because they're true. The rest of it? We write in plain language and make it boring. Boring beats a gif of a fight. He almost smiled. Boring saves rooms, he said. She checked the time. 8:22, fat drops hit the window and stuck. Her hoodie was damp and heavy. She took it off and felt the room air crawl over her skin. The cuffs had left bright bracelets she didn't hide. The door chimed. She turned. Daniel stood in the doorway with rain on his hair and purpose in his posture. He looked around like you do when you walk into a place that doesn't belong to your world and realize your world is actually small. His eyes found Mara and softened, then sharpened. He shut the door behind him and the bell quieted. He wore a dark sweater with no logo. No watch. Just a plain band of gold on his finger. The father version. It made him look taller and more naked at the same time. "Are we safe?" he asked, voice low. "No," Agent 4-7 said. "Safe enough?" Daniel nodded once at the agent and then at her. "Sophie's with my sister," he said, like he had to say it first, like those words needed touching. "She's okay." Shaken. "She fell asleep with the lights on. We left them on." Mara felt a knot in her chest loosen and then tie itself in another place. She gave him a small nod. "Good." He stepped to the table by the window, looked at the napkin, and then at the pinhole. "Oh, is that dead?" the agent said. "He'll try another way." "Let him try," Daniel said. He pulled a chair out and sat. He reached for the sugar jar, looked at it like it might bite him, and then pushed it away. "Let's write." Mara slid into the seat across from him. The formica was cold through her shirt. She pulled a cheap pen from the cup on the table. It didn't work for a second. She scribbled until the ball found ink. Simple words. Easy words. She wrote the 6. "We stole. We stop now. Noon." "I'll say them," Daniel said. He wasn't dramatic about it. He wasn't proud. He looked like a man who had a load and had decided to pick it up with both hands because putting it down was worse. "Not just that," Mara said. She wrote under it in block print. "We underpaid workers. We took money. We are sorry. We will pay it back, with interest, starting today." Daniel's eyes tracked the lines. He read slow. He wasn't dumb. He was careful. He tapped the table. "This part," he said, marking the starting today. "Board will fight. Council will say investigate and months." "Do it anyway," she said. "Announce a fund at noon. You have liquid. Use personal. Then the board can get in front of the rest without you. It'll shame them. People will remember if you made the first check happen before lunch." He breathed out. "All right." He looked up. "What about charges? I'm not walking into a confession to a felony and leaving in cuffs." "You're walking into truth," she said. "The lawyers can turn it into a letter after you talk. Simple words, then paper words. But the simple words have to move first." He stared at the napkin and nodded. The pen shook in his hand when he took it. He made it stop. He wrote the 6 words again on a clean napkin in his own hand like a man practicing a name at a new job. Agent 47's radio muffled, "Heads up. 2 black raincoats just parked across. No rush. No umbrella. They're watching the door, not the street." "Leon?" Daniel asked. "No," Mara said. "Leon has a tilt. He hides his left shoulder in a crowd. Those look straight. Reporters," the agent said. "Or private," Mara said. She thought of Harper's slate gray blazer and her small, sharp smile. She thought of Rowan's calm. She thought of their money. Either way, they want a picture. The agent drifted to the window and lifted the blinds with 2 fingers just enough to see a slice of street. Raincoats are pretending to buy lottery tickets. He let the blind fall. "We keep the shades where they are." Daniel slid his phone onto the table and set it to record. "Context," he said. Mara stared at the little red dot. She wanted to say, "Don't stage me, don't turn this into a clip you can trim." Then she saw his face. He didn't look like a man building an excuse. Real. He looked like a man trying to hold back a tide of edited lies. She let it be. She added a line. "We will end the shell companies that hide wages. Contracts change today." "Names?" Daniel asked. "You want me to say Harper on camera?" "Not yet," she said. "Say Rowan if you want. Or don't. The paper will have names. Let the video be for people who work. They don't care about Harper. They care about the money they didn't get." He nodded. His face went hard in a clean way. A man making room for a thing he didn't want and deciding to keep it anyway. The bell over the door chimed again. Mara's head snapped up. The door opened slow. A man in a wet cap slid inside, head down. He moved to the counter like he lived there. He shook the hat. Water fell in a circle. He looked up and smiled at Mara with a nice old man smile that showed a chip in a front tooth. "Morning," the man said. He was the owner. Pete. She knew his face and his hands from a year of nights. He had a soft voice and a way with broken toasters. He made grilled cheese like a doctor. He looked past her at Daniel and at the agent and at the napkin on the table and made a little noise in his throat. "Closed," he said to the air, like the word could fix the scene. "We're closed." "Sorry, Pete," Mara said. "We needed the room." He squinted. Recognition slid across his face like light under a cloud. "Mara." His voice went warm. "You look different." "Good different," she said. He nodded once like men do when they don't know how to say they're proud. He turned to the register, opened it, and pulled out a set of keys on a chain. He tossed them to the agent. "Check the basement," he said. "The trap door sticks." Agent 4-7 caught the keys left-handed. "Thanks." Pete's eyes flicked to the napkin, to the O-shaped pinhole, to the dead wire. He swallowed. "He was here," he said. "Not a question." "Maybe," Mara said. "You see him?" "I saw a man last night who didn't order," Pete said. Sat and stared at his hands. Shoulder lower on one side like he had a bag there and forgot to take it off. "He left a star sticker on my bell." He snorted once, no humor. "I scraped it." The agent flipped the trap door behind the counter. A square mouth opened with a cough. He clicked a light that didn't want to work. He disappeared down creaking steps, slow. Daniel watched the stairs. The muscles in his jaw ticked. He touched the napkin like a talisman. She should have seen it coming, Mara thought of herself, not Pete. She should have known Leon would pick here. Of course he would. The place where she felt like she had built a thing with her hands and code and mornings that smelled like bacon and bleach. He wanted to own even this. Pete poured 3 mugs of coffee because that's what you do in a diner when people look like they're about to fight the sun. He set one in front of Mara without asking how she took it. He set one in front of Daniel and pushed sugar his way. He set one near the agent's empty spot. He held his own with both hands and blew on it like the steam could erase a picture in his head. "You know there's a crowd forming," Pete said. "Not big. Just people. Phones up. Raincoats." "We'll keep the blinds," Mara said. Pete nodded. "You always were good at knowing where to put things," he said. He went behind the counter and started pretending to wipe the already clean surface because hands need jobs. Agent 4-7 came back up, damp around the edges. "Basement clear," he said. "Just old cans and ghosts." "Back room?" Mara asked. "Clear," he said. "If he's here, he's in the walls. Or he already left his pieces and moved on. Mara sipped coffee. It burned and told her she was still in her body. She stared at the 6 words again. They looked simple. They felt heavy. For all her billions, she couldn't protect the one she loved. She hadn't. But maybe she could make the floor under other people safer. Daniel leaned forward, elbows on the table, and took one breath that didn't waver. "Let's do it," he said. Agent 4-7 put his phone on the counter, pointing their way, recording. Pete turned on the old radio behind the grill and set it between stations so the hiss would cover anything else that wanted to listen. The rain hit the window like applause that's tired of lying. Mara read the lines in a voice that a kid could follow. Daniel read them after her. He didn't trip. He didn't puff himself. He said the hard part like he had decided he was strong enough to be small. "We stole. We stop now. Noon," he said, the last word firm. "We underpaid workers. We took money. We are sorry. We will pay it back, with interest, starting today. We will end the shell companies that hide wages. Contracts change today." He put the pen down. His hands shook then. After, not during. She respected that. The agent's radio crackled like foil. "Heads up," a voice said. "Anonymous tip to 911 says extortion meeting at a diner on," they said the street. "Units en route. 2 minutes. City PD." "Leon," Mara said. "Or Harper," the agent said. "Or both," Mara said. Daniel closed his eyes like he was counting to 10 with a child in a burning room. "What do? "We make boring loud," Mara said. "We stream it before anyone can point a camera with a headline." She held out a hand. "Your accounts." Daniel unlocked his phone, thumb and face at once. He passed it like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She opened his biggest feed. She typed the 6 words. She added the plain lines. No tags. No swagger. Then she hit live and set the angle so their faces were clear and the napkin sat between them. "Keep it simple," she said. "No blame. No names. Just say it again. Then end." He looked at her. "With you in frame?" "Yes," she said. "Because if they say extortion, the world needs to see 2 people and 6 words and a napkin. Not a secret." He nodded. He didn't ask, "Are you sure?" He knew she was. He started talking. The red dot blinked and then held. The numbers in the corner of the screen started to climb. 100. 1,000. 10. The feed pulled eyes like sugar pulls ants. Pete moved to the door and flipped the closed sign back and forth in his hand like he could change reality with a piece of plastic. Agent 4-7 watched the street through a narrow gap. "Black and whites turning onto the block," he said. "No sirens. They'll want a show but not a circus." Mara kept her face calm. She listened to Daniel's voice. It didn't crack. It didn't sell. It just said it. "We stole. We stop now. Noon." The door chimed. It wasn't the police. It was a woman with a gray blazer dark from rain. "Harper." Her hair was wet. Her smile wasn't. She stepped in like she owned the tile. 2 men in suits with broad shoulders and cheap shoes came with her and fanned a little bit like they had been told to be furniture. Agent 4-7 slid in front of them with a look that said no. "Public place," Harper said mildly. "We're customers." "We're closed," Pete said. His voice was quiet. It had old weight in it. "You can stand under the awning like anybody else." Harper's eyes flicked to the phone on the table when she heard Daniel's voice say with interest, "Starting today." Her jaw did a small thing that wasn't a twitch and wasn't a smile. It was calculation. "You're live," she said. "Yes," Daniel said. He didn't look at her. "Sit down or leave. You're blocking a father." Something like surprise crossed her face and then ran. She turned to Agent 427. "City PD is coming," she said. "This will be a mess." "Then step out," he said. She didn't. She stood by the door and made herself into scenery with eyes. Daniel finished the lines. He looked at the phone. "We will show receipts by 3 p.m. today," he added. "Back pay begins now. We are sorry." He ended the stream. The red dot died. The world still watched, but not in this small box. Outside, 2 patrol cars pulled up. The officers inside didn't hurry. They weren't fools. They were tired. They had been used before. Agent 427 moved to the door before they could. He flashed a badge that made rules. He kept his voice low. The officers kept their voices lower. They looked inside and saw a napkin and 3 mugs and a man who could buy their pensions getting smaller on purpose. One officer nodded to the other like, "We're not ruining this on camera." Harper drifted to the window and looked out with them like she was just a neighbor. Mara let herself breathe for one beat and then another. She had expected a blow during the words. Leon liked to interrupt. He hadn't. That meant he was happy to let the stream live. That meant he had another button to push. As if on cue, Daniel's phone buzzed in her hand, hard and frantic. New headline banners stacked, one on top of another, until the screen looked like a pile of small flags. She turned it so he could see. The top banner said, "Leaked, former Maid coaches Billionaire in extortion meeting, photos." Her own face stared up at her from the pushed image. The storage unit. The camera flash bleeding everything flat. Agent 427 beside her. The unit number 3B behind them like a name tag. She felt the ground tilt sideways. The photo was ugly and clean and designed to look like a secret. Pete swore low and fast. Daniel's mouth went a hard line. Agent 427 didn't move, but something in his eyes got tired and sharp at the same time. Another alert stacked. Anonymous source, she's using workers as cover. A third. Exclusive, audio, we bleed them a little, Rowan. That last one helped, not hurt. But it slid under the other 2 like a floor under a trapdoor. Harper looked at the banner and did a very small, pleased thing with her mouth that she had by sipping coffee she hadn't ordered. The door chimed again before anybody could pick a move. The sound was almost polite. A man walked in wearing a dark coat that wasn't expensive and wasn't cheap. He was dry under the collar like he had been standing under the awning waiting for a cue. He took off a cap, shook off rain that wasn't there, and smiled at Pete like they were old friends. Mara's stomach went cold. Left shoulder low. Leon. He didn't look at her right away. He looked at the wall clock and then at Daniel and then at the napkin like he was checking a list at a job site. He nodded once to himself. "Good," he said. His voice was lighter than it had been on the speaker. It had a low music in it. He stepped toward the counter. Agent 427 slid to block him. Leon stopped so close the air between them had to decide who it liked more. "Don't," the agent said. "I'll stay right here," Leon said. He lifted his hands to just shoulder height, palms empty. The left hand had a scar near the thumb. The same scar that had put a watch in a caddy years ago. Harper's eyes widened a fraction and then went flat. She didn't move. Daniel stood. The chair made a small sound that broke the room into pieces for a breath. The patrol officers at the door shifted. Their hands hovered at their belts and then moved away. They were watching the badges and the phones and the moment and trying not to be the headline. Leon looked at Daniel and smiled like a teacher. Strong words, he said. Clean. People will like them. Daniel didn't answer. Leon turned his head, finally, to Mara. He took her in like he was measuring a doorway. You look taller, he said. Good for you. Leave, she said. She kept her voice even. It cost her. She wanted to reach across and break his mouth with the coffee mug and then hand him the pieces. He tilted his head. The low shoulder made an odd line. Old injury. Old habit. He put 2 fingers on the napkin like he was blessing it. Noon, he said. Tick, tick. Agent 4-7 moved to cuff him. Leon raised his hands higher, not in surrender, in theater. Am I under arrest? He asked. For buying coffee? For kidnapping, the agent said. Was there a kidnapping? Leon asked. I saw a video of a girl being rescued from a room in a building with a certain name. That's all. Poor building. So many rooms. Mara felt the room sway again. Leon loved words that broke cause from effect. He made lines look like loops. Agent 4-7 didn't argue. He tried to take the wrist. Leon stepped back a half step and let his coat swing. He had a hallway man's gift for turning space into cover. The cuffs clicked on air. And then everything shouted at once. A dozen phones in a dozen pockets in a dozen places buzzed and chimed. Pete's old radio cut the static and landed on a station without being touched. The anchor voice came clean as rain. Breaking, City PD executing search warrants related to computer intrusion. Sources, a former Vail employee known online as Sweep founder may have used illegal methods to obtain files. Alleged accomplice inside federal ranks. Agent 4-7's jaw went sharp. He didn't look away from Leon. Ignore it, he said to everyone and no one. Move. Leon smiled like a boy who had broken something at a quiet party and enjoyed the way adults tried to pretend it wasn't their fault. He put his fingers to his mouth and gave a small, flat whistle. Not loud. Just a shape of a sound. The front blinds snapped up at once. A string had been tied to the rod near the top, thin, clear, strong. It yanked them high. Light and faces and phones and rain rushed the glass like a wave. Cameras shot in through water. 100 small eyes. Look, Leon said softly, to Mara, to the room, to the idea of them. Your show. Agent 4-7 grabbed Leon's wrist again. This time he got skin. Leon didn't fight hard. He let the cuff bite. He kept his smile. He looked at Daniel. Rowan says hello, he said. He says at noon you'll say the words and he'll say something else. He likes noon. It feels like a top of a hill. Mara took a step like her body wanted to close the gap and her mind wanted not to. She stopped herself on the edge of the tile where the floor turns to rubber behind the counter. She looked at Harper. Harper looked at Leon and then at Mara and then at the phones. She looked like a person who had put a hand on a live wire and wasn't sure how much of her body it had taken. Rowan set you up, Mara said to Leon. You know that, right? You're his blade. He throws blades away. Leon's eyes cooled. I set me up, he said. I know every door he doesn't. That's my church. Agent 4-7 tugged the second cuff toward the left wrist. Leon moved in a way that wasn't big and wasn't small. He twisted his left shoulder down and slid the wrist under the cuff lip and let the cuff slam on bone where there was no wrist. The cuff snapped on empty space. The crowd outside ought like they could smell blood. Leon laughed once. Enough, Daniel said, voice hard, father voice. He stepped around the table and put himself next to the agent like a wall. Leon's eyes flicked to the street. Something changed in his face. Not fear. Not surprise. Calculation hit a snag. Mara followed his gaze. Across the street, under a leaning awning, 2 more men had appeared. Not police. Not press. Wrong shoes. They weren't looking in. They were looking at Leon. One lifted a phone and aimed it like a weapon. The other put a hand to his ear and nodded like somebody on the line had just said now. Leon's smile faltered. His head turned half an inch. Old animal. New wind. He moved. He yanked his right hand in, jerked his body like a wave through a narrow rock, and slammed his shoulder into the agent's chest as if he had been born in that angle. The cuff on his right wrist ripped free of the agent's grip and clanged off the counter. He didn't go for the door. He went for the kitchen. Mara was already moving. She reached for the bell and smacked it as he passed. Not for sound. For weight. The little cap popped free in her hand. She lunged and jammed the bell cap under the back heel of his shoe right as he hit the swing door. His heel slid. His body went on. He crashed into the door with his shoulder and went down on his knees. His left hand shot out to catch and hit the wet floor mat. He skidded. Agent 4-7 came over the counter like a man who had learned to clear obstacles by being told he couldn't. He hit Leon from the side and pinned him. Daniel grabbed Leon's free arm and held like he was holding a child out of traffic. The cuffs found skin. They closed. The sound was small and final. Leon breathed hard once and then smiled against the tile. "You know what I like about rooms," he said into the floor. "They have vents." The back door, the one with 3 locks, clicked. Mara's head snapped up. The locks were still set. The click came from the small square high on the wall where the vent hummed. A panel slid a finger's width. A camera lens peered through for a heartbeat. Then something else sprayed, not smoke, not gas, fine mist, a slick, sweet smell that made the air feel thin. "Out," Agent 4-7 said. "Now." Harper moved first, fast in heels, out the front and into the rain and the phones. Daniel shoved Leon toward the door while the agent kept the cuff chain tight. Pete grabbed a towel and threw it over the vent like a man who had done this for a grease fire once and prayed it worked for this too. Mara's head swam for a second. The room tilted. The sugar jar glittered. She tasted metal. They stumbled into the morning. Rain washed the sweet out of the air. The crowd stepped back in a shuffle like birds. Phones kept filming because phones don't stop when air gets weird. Agent 4-7 shoved Leon to a waiting car and slammed him into the back seat with a move that saved bodies and egos at once. He flashed a badge at the closest camera and didn't shout. He closed the door. He turned back to Mara and Daniel. "You okay?" "I'm good," Daniel said. Mara nodded. The world steadied. The rain felt like it had hands. It patted her face. She breathed deep, slow. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Tessa's voice in her head. A hand tugged her sleeve. "Pete." His face was pale. He held out a folded note, small and wet around the edges. "This fell out of his coat when you hit him," Pete said. "I stepped on it." "Sorry, it's damp." Mara took it. Her fingers stuck to the wet paper. She unfolded it. The ink bled a little, but the words held. 12A isn't storage. 12A is a floor. Hospital. East wing. Service stair. Noon. Her stomach went empty. 12A, not a unit. A level. At a hospital. Noon. He had nested his rooms in buildings that didn't belong to him because that's what he did. He moved in other people's places like he had the deed. Agent 4-7 read over her shoulder. His face changed. The tiredness left like it had somewhere else to be. "They're not done," he said. No, Mara said. Across the street, a black sedan rolled up and kissed the curb like it didn't want to be noticed. The back door opened. Rowan stepped out in a dark suit like rain didn't exist. He didn't hurry. He didn't look flustered. He looked like a man walking into a room that someone had already chosen for him. He looked at Daniel and smiled without teeth. He looked at Mara and let his eyes rest a second too long. Then he looked at the phone in his hand as it lit his face with a graph she couldn't see. He lifted his chin and spoke just loud enough to carry across the rain. Noon, he said. Shall we? The patrol car radios crackled in nervous chorus. The press leaned in. Harper fixed her blazer and turned her head so her good side faced the cameras. Leon smiled up from the back seat like a child who had broken a plate and wanted dessert anyway. Agent 47's phone buzzed. He stared at the screen and then at Mara. Hospital security just got a false fire alarm for East Wing, he said. Guess the floor number? 12A, she said. You can't go, he added. It wasn't a rule. It was a wish. She looked at Rowan across the street, at the way his suit drank the rain and didn't change color. She looked at Daniel, soaked and stubborn. She looked at the note in her hand. The letters bled into each other like they wanted to run. For a second, the doubt in her chest stood up and asked if she was just moving pieces for men who owned the boards. If she was making herself a blade for someone else's hand. If she was becoming worse. She made the doubt sit down. We go, she said. And we make it clean? How? The agent asked. We beat him to his own room, she said. We move the table. We change the light. We make Noon about the right thing. Which is? Daniel asked. Paying people now, she said. And not letting a liar use a hospital. Rain hit harder. The city's heart thumped under the street in a way you can feel if you stand still. Rowan's mouth moved. She couldn't hear the words. She read them anyway. See you there? A siren wailed somewhere high and far. The clock on the diner wall ticked. 8:47. Agent 4-7 looked at her, at Daniel, at the sedan, at the note, at the crowd, at the hospital inside the paper. He made a decision humans make in bad weather. Cars, he said into the radio. Hospital East Wing. Quiet. Now. He turned to Mara. You ride with me. She nodded. Diner at 9 happened, she said to Daniel. Noon is next. He nodded back. Noon is next. Mara slid into the SUV and felt the seat grab water off her clothes. She clenched the note in her hand until the paper softened and the ink bled onto her skin like a mark she might not wash off. As the car pulled away, the crowd split like a mouth closing. Rowan's sedan rolled the other way. Harper spoke into a phone like she had a list of judges and 3 new numbers. Leon watched. Through glass and smiled like vents were doors and doors were vents. Mara looked down at her palm where the ink had printed itself. Only one word stayed readable in the mess. Noon. The SUV took a corner. The city gave them another throat to run down. The hospital waited like a clean room someone had already filled with smoke. The light changed. The wipers slapped. The radio spit static and road names and times that didn't listen. The clock in the dash ticked toward the hill. The hospital's east wing rose in her head like a drawing she knew from a map and a memory she didn't own yet. Leon's left shoulder dipped in the corner of her mind like a warning. The agent's phone lit with a new alert. His mouth hardened. He didn't read it out loud. He put it on the console, face up. It said, Live in 10, Rowan Pierce, the real thief. Mara held the note tighter. She felt the old, cold fear try to climb her back and the new, clean fire burn it off. She counted her breath. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Don't flinch, she told herself. Teeth out of sight. The SUV shot through a yellow light, and the rain swallowed them whole. The SUV ate the wet street. Wipers slapped. The note bled ink into her palm. 12 noon. Agent 4-7 drove with both hands and his jaw set. Daniel sat behind them in a second car with 2 plain sedans as cover. The radio spoke in short words and street names. Mara watched drops race each other down the glass and tried to make her breath obey. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Own the heart. Own the room. Her phone buzzed. Lynn, hospital map, East Wing, 12A is a mech floor plus admin aside, payroll/IT. Service stair S3 gets you there. False alarm active. Mara typed, watch hospital net. If a new device starts pushing, ping me. Lynn, on it. Also, Rowan Live moved up, 1150. Title The Real Thief. Of course he moved it. He wanted the hill before they reached it. They slid into the garage under the hospital. Concrete dripped. Signs pointed to a world that smelled like soap and fear. The agent flashed a badge at a guard with a tired face. The guard lifted the gate and didn't ask questions he didn't want answers to. Service stair S3, Mara said. East elevators will lock out under a fire alarm. Stairs don't. Ask for a towel. The agent frowned. You and your towels. Blue means cameras live. White means blind, she said. Ships and palaces. Same tricks. They parked. They moved. The hall hummed under fluorescent buzz. A woman in scrubs pushed a cart past and didn't look up. Work doesn't stop for rich people. At the service desk, a man with a radio and a clipboard waited. He had the solid look of someone who had moved heavy things for 20 years and didn't scare easy. Maintenance check, Agent 4-7 said, lifting the plastic fire safety tag. The man looked him over, then looked at Mara, then at the badge again. He reached under the counter and pulled a folded towel without breaking eye contact. White. He set it down like a quiet gift. Cameras blind, he said. East stair S3 just got a fake smoke trip. We didn't pull. Someone did. You didn't hear that from me. Appreciate you, Mara said, taking the towel. The man's mouth twitched like a held-back smile. He nodded at the door marked staff only. They took S3. The stair smelled like wet dust and rubber. Numbers climbed on the wall, 9, 10, 11. 12 a hand-painted, not standard font. A door with a small wired window and a push bar that stuck if you didn't know how to press and lift at the same time. I got it, Mara said. She pressed and lifted. The bar gave with a soft creak like a secret. The door opened onto a short, bright hall that didn't care about visitors. On one side, a row of gray doors with mech and telecom on small plaques. On the other, a low window into a room with desks and old monitors. Admin overflow. No people now. The alarm had sent them to gather somewhere else. The air felt wrong. Sweet. Cleaner. The kind of sweet that doesn't live in soap. Vent, she said. Agent 4-7 scanned the ceiling. He saw it, a new grill plate with fresh screws, not dusty like its neighbors. He pointed. There. They moved toward telecom. A star sticker, tiny and gold and half-peeled, sat on the corner of the door frame. The sight punched her chest in one clean hit. He's in your head on purpose, the agent said. Not unkind. Just true. The telecom door was locked. The agent slid a tool into the latch. Click. The door opened 3 inches. A cable held it from inside like a caught fish. He cut the cable. The door swung. Racks. Blinking lights. A folding table pushed into the corner with a small router that didn't belong to the hospital and a power strip with one switch guarded by tape. A phone the size of a deck of cards sat face down, tied with cord to the rack foot. Its screen glowed. Uplink, ready. A cheap webcam face taped to the corner of a box, pointed at the doorway, waited to catch faces. Mara crouched and covered the webcam with the white towel. The lens went blind. She pulled the small phone off its tape and flipped it. 2 SIMs. Red tape on one. Fail safe. On the table, a printed card in neat block letters. Pull the plug and I drop your names in every worker forum, thief, fake, rich pet. Let it run and I dump files you care about. Pick your hurt. Noon. Under the words, a stupid little star. Her stomach turned. He wants a choice, he wins either way. The agent touched nothing. His eyes tracked power, then data. We can isolate, he said, more to himself than her. He tapped his radio. Hospital IT on me, Telecom 12A East. Quiet, no alarms. Bring someone who knows which cord not to kill. Static. Then a voice, on our way. Mara let her eyes close for one tight beat. She saw her mother rolling a dish towel slow and neat. Win clean, the voice said again. She opened her eyes. Her hand went to the small phone, back to the router, to the tape switch. She didn't move. Her phone buzzed. Lynn, seeing a shadow device pressed against hospital net. Not pushing yet. Handshake tries every 30 seconds. We're at it, she typed. 2 SIMs. Second path if we cut main. Lynn, yep. See both. If you kill power, phone flips to SIM. If you leave power, it rides hospital fiber. Clever rat. Agent 4 to 7 listened to her side by the way her fingers moved. We need the hospital tools, he said. We fence it in. Footsteps. 2 IT staff appeared in the doorway, one older woman with gray hair pulled back, a lanyard heavy with old badges. Her eyes took in the rack and the taped box like a mother seeing a stain on a shirt she had washed 1,000 times. Who touched my room? She asked, dry. Bad man, Mara said. Short notes. The woman nodded once. Always. She stepped past them and started tracing with a practiced hand. This, she said, tapping the small router, is separate from our core. It's piggybacked on a guest line someone left live because a certain doctor likes streaming jazz. We can wall that port with a click. But the cell device, she flicked her eyes to the little phone, that's out of my hands. Different pipe. We bagged the phone, the agent said. Then it screams, the woman said. Or it sleeps. Depends how it was told to feel. The older woman pulled up a small laptop from her bag and typed fast. I can cut the guest trunk in 10 seconds, but that also drops vending machines, the coffee kiosk, and one dumb nurse station that shouldn't be on guest but is because paperwork. Patient monitors are on the real net. We don't touch those. We good. Good, the agent said. Then 3, 2, she hit enter. The small router's port lights went dark. The little phone screen flicked. Uplink lost. Failover. A new bar appeared. LTE, ready. Of course, Mara said. The agent stepped forward with a bag. We bag it and block signal. The woman pulled a small metal-lined pouch from her pack like a magician. Use this, she said. Faraday. My own. Don't ask. He slipped the phone inside. The LTE bars dropped to nothing. The screen froze on a tiny, dumb star as if it had feelings. Mara stared at the taped power switch on the strip. Her fingers itched. The vent, she said, pointing at the new grill. Kill it. The woman squinted at the ceiling, then at a local control box. That's a booster. Not our main. Whoever put it there is clever and a jerk. She flipped a breaker in the closet. The hum changed. The sweet note in the air thinned. Okay, the agent said. Lock this room. Hold the bag. If anything else blinks, scream. The IT woman snorted. I was screaming before you were born. They left the towel on the webcam. They locked the door and tagged it with a simple sheet, out of order. People obey paper. The hall felt less wrong. Not right. Less wrong. Mara checked the time. 11:41. Her phone buzzed again. Lynn, Rowan live in 9. He's at a podium. Looks like a studio, not hospital. Chirin, the real thief, a story of lies. Her stomach went up and down like a bad elevator. We can't stop him. But we can be louder. She texted the journalist, noon, hospital cafeteria east, stream Daniel, pay first checks on camera, workers only in frame, no suits. Reply, on my way. No labels. Agent 4 to 7 led them to the cafeteria 1 floor down. The room smelled like fries and sanitizer. A few night shift workers hunched over late breakfasts, faces lined from masks and years. A man in scrubs argued softly with a vending machine. A cleaner in a green top wiped a table and watched them with careful eyes. Mara felt the weight of all the small, unpaid minutes pounding in this place. She lifted a hand to the cleaner in a small hello. The woman nodded back, wary and curious as a cat. Daniel arrived with that strange mix of rain and glass he carried. He sat at a table under a bad light. He wore the same sweater. His hair was still damp. He looked like he hadn't seen his bed in a month. A young man in a veil office jacket hustled in behind him, carrying a laptop and a nervous habit. Daniel's CFO. New face. He had a brave look like he wanted to be the good kind of rich person and had just learned that might be a lie. Fund, Daniel said to him. Now. The CFO nodded, hands shaking a little. We set a special account for back pay. Personal first. Standing wire at noon to start deposits to a list of. Not at noon, Mara said. Now. Even one check. Make it real before he talks. The CFO swallowed. Yes. He tapped. The laptop chimed. He looked at Daniel. We'll need routing details confirmed. Counsel sent a memo with the target. Show me, Mara said. He turned the screen. An email thread. Legal talk. A pulled-out attachment, back pay escrow feed, starting noon. Under it, a line with a bank and a name. 12A Relief Trust. Her skin went ice. Who named that? She asked, voice flat. Counsel, from a note they said came from your office, the CFO said, color draining. It sounded like a reference to today. Her eyes hit the bottom of the memo. A tiny mark next to the name like a dot. Not a dot. A star. A little, stupid star. Stop, she said, too calm. Do not wire. That's theirs. The CFO's hands froze mid-tap. He blinked. But counsel. Harper, Mara said. Or Rowan. They slid it under you last hour. She looked at Daniel. This is the piece. The dollar you think you took is a match. He wants you to wire to his box then call it fraud on you. He wants to burn you with your own money. Daniel stared at the star like it was a hole. He set his jaw. Kill that memo, he said. Use a bank we control, your name on it, No cute names. Back pay now. No outside trustee. He looked at Mara. Clean? Cleaner, she said. We still show receipts. Agent 47's radio clicked. Copy, Rowan's live in 5. City room says he has docs. Might be about the agent friend you have. A pause. Heads up. He looked at Mara. His face didn't show fear, just a new type of tired. They're going to smear me. They can try, she said. Your work is in your feet. He huffed once, almost a laugh. Thanks. The cafeteria TV sets changed on their own. Someone upstairs hit a switch. Every screen went to a clean white background with a blue logo and a podium. Live, Rowan Pierce. The man's face filled the screen. Calm. Kind even, if you didn't know where his hands had been. Here we go, Daniel said. Rowan began to talk in that even voice he used when he seduced money. He said words like truth and safety and attack on our systems. He said Mara's name without saying her last name, then said it anyway. He showed the storage unit photo like it was a painting. He said federal friend like a joke. He smiled when he said extortion. He held out little lines that were almost true and twisted them like wires. People at tables watched with their mouths tight. A nurse shook her head and looked at her own shoes. A cleaner in a green top snapped a glove harder than she needed to. Mara felt shame try to crawl under her skin even though she had built the flood and saved a kid. Shame is fast. You have to be faster. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Her phone buzzed. Lynn, hospital device quiet. Your bag works. But a twin woke up. Piggyback LTE in the cafeteria ceiling near vent R14. She looked up. A vent over the soda machine. On the edge, a tiny strip of tape. Star. Of course, she whispered. Where? The agent asked. She pointed. He moved. He took Pete's trick and threw a damp towel over the grid. The little phone rubber-banded inside the vent chirped once and died in the damp. He yanked it down with bare hands. It scraped his skin. He didn't flinch. Rowan's face kept moving on the screens. He showed a memo from counsel with the words 12A Relief Trust highlighted. He spoke as if it was a kindness. We offered to help her pay those she claims we harmed. She set up a shell name to trick us. She asked us to wire. He let the sentence hang in the air like a knife over a soft fruit. Mara's throat burned. You liar, she said, too soft for anyone but herself. Daniel stepped to the center of the cafeteria. He didn't climb anything. He stood on the floor where the workers stood. He lifted his phone, hit live again, pointed the camera at his own face and then at the people behind him on their break with coffee in their hands and sleep in their eyes. We pay now, he said to the screen. His voice didn't wobble. Not to a trick account. Not to a shell. To you. He handed the phone to Mara so she could hold the angle. He nodded at the CFO. The man's hands found a calm they hadn't had. He typed. He showed. The number showed, $50,000, back pay now to a name on a list. A woman in a green top looked down at her phone. It buzzed. Her eyes widened. Her hand flew to her mouth. She started to cry. Quiet. Then not quiet. Another buzz. Another deposit. Small. Real. Now. The cleaner beside her leaned in and saw her own account blink and fill in a line like water finding a cup. The TV kept Rowan's mouth moving. In the cafeteria, other mouths were saying words like oh and finally and is this real? Harper stood at the edge of the room now, hair drying to frizz, eyes on the numbers. She wasn't smiling anymore. She pulled out her phone and typed like she was trying to hold back a river with her thumbs. Agent 4-7 stood under the vent with the dead phone in his fist and rain spots on his sleeves and a look on his face that said hit me harder. For a beat, the world held both pictures at once. Rowan talking. Money landing. A woman crying because a number appeared. Mara holding a phone in a hand that had scrubbed floors. It felt like balance. Her phone vibrated. Lynn, good. But watch your six. A second later, wait, something just moved in Daniel's back pay feed. A second wire queued by CFO's deputy? Label Batcha to 12A relief. Her stomach dropped. She looked at the CFO. He was typing with both hands, focused, honest. He wasn't queuing a second wire. Someone else was inside. She grabbed his shoulder. Who else has access? She asked. He blinked. My deputy. She's remote. She's good. Good for who? Mara said. He froze. She came from Rowan's side a year ago. She said she wanted to. Stop, Mara said. Kill her login. He scrambled. I can't from here. We need back office. Daniel saw their faces. What? Mara showed him Lynn's thread. The words jumped. Queued. Ready. $50 million. Daniel went the color of paper. He reached for his phone. It buzzed at the same time. A new email slid onto the screen at the top. The subject line had that calm legal tone, wire confirmation, 12A Relief Trust, Batch A. He opened it. The screen filled with a bank page. Wire sent. 11:58 and 13 seconds a.m. A PDF attachment glared like a door you don't want to open. The recipient name sat there like a small bomb. 12A Relief Trust. Under it, a line, initiated by, Deputy.CFO at Vale. A tiny star at the very bottom of the memo, hidden in the footnote. For a second, all sound in the room went thin. The woman in the green top laughed and cried at once, and the laugh sounded far. Rowan's voice on the TV said, "The real thief writes her own story." The agent's radio hissed without words. Harper read something on her screen and smiled with only one corner of her mouth. The CFO made a small sick sound and put his hand over his eyes. Mara looked at the wire, at the timestamp, at the star in the footnote. She tasted metal and coffee and the old cold from the bench. This was the piece. Leon's whisper at the SUV door. You missed a piece. Daniel looked at her like a man watching a wave break over his house. Tell me it can be pulled, he said. She couldn't. Her phone buzzed again. Lynn, we can flag. Bank holds big wires sometimes for 30 to 60 minutes, need a human to freeze. You have one? The agent stepped closer. We have one, he said. He lifted his phone. His voice went flat and official the way it had in the stare. This is Agent, he said the number, not the name. We have an active wire in fraud dispute tied to a live federal matter. Put a manual hold on the following control number. He read the string like a prayer. A pause. A click on the line. A voice on the other end that sounded like a person who could stop a train if the paperwork was right said, hold placed. 10 minutes. Then I need a judge. Get me 10, the agent said. He hung up. He looked at Mara. Find me the judge. She nodded. Her fingers flew. The lawyer Daniel had sent at 3 a.m. answered on the first ring with a voice that sounded like he hadn't slept in a year. I'm here. Wire hold, she said. We need a live order in 9 minutes. On it, he said. The line went dead in that good way. Rowan's live hit the part where he said noon. He smiled like a man on a hill. Daniel, wet and steady and human, turned back to the room and kept paying people one by one, naming no names but theirs. The cleaner in green wiped her face with her sleeve and said, "Thank you," into her hands. The worker beside her held up her phone and shook her head like she couldn't believe numbers could make you cry. Mara held the stream and kept her hand from shaking. She felt strong and small at the same time. For all her billions, she couldn't protect the one she loved. She hadn't. But maybe she could protect this. Her screen lit again. Lynn, Rowan ending. He's teasing a final proof at noon at the hospital. He's coming, she said. Agent 4-7 nodded. Let him come. He checked his watch. We have 8 minutes. The cafeteria doors opened and a small wave of bodies entered, quiet, like church. Night crew cleaners. Orderlies. A nurse who had heard something and needed to see. They didn't shout. They stood. They watched the phones and the man and the napkin. Some cried. Some didn't. The agent's phone rang. He answered, spoke 3 yes, and hung up. Judge signed a temp freeze on the wire, he said. 10 more minutes bought. Then we fight again. Mara exhaled. The air didn't push back. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Rowan stepped out with 2 cameras and a man with a mic who moved like this was a commercial shoot. Harper followed like a shadow. Leon did not. He was in a car with cuffs, or not. The crowd parted in that way crowds do when power walks. Rowan looked at the room like a set. He saw the workers. He saw the napkin on the table someone had brought down and set by Daniel like a flag. He saw the phone in Mara's hand and the FD bag with the little phone inside and the towel on the vent. He smiled like he loved it. Mr. Vale, he said, voice carrying without a mic, are you ready to tell the truth? Daniel lifted his head. He didn't shout. He didn't point. He tapped the screen once more. Another deposit went out. Another phone buzzed in someone's palm. He said, with no drama, we're doing it. Rowan's camera-man lifted the lens. The mic man aimed. Harper's eyes flicked to Agent 4-7 like a knife test. Mara's phone buzzed one more time. Lynn, bad news. Deputy CFO attempted second wire from a different bank. Smaller. A test, also queued. Not through Maine. Mara looked at Daniel's CFO. He looked like he might throw up. I'm killing her login, he whispered, voice shaking. He tried. He couldn't. The screen flashed access denied in a way that felt personal. A little star flickered in the corner of the error once and disappeared. The agent's radio hissed and dropped a new voice, cold and official, U.S. Marshals inbound with a warrant obstruction and wire fraud. ETA 2 minutes. Daniel looked at Mara. He didn't blink. They're coming for me, he said quietly, so only she and the agent could hear. No, Mara said. She turned to the agent. They're coming for me. The agent shook his head once. They're coming for the cameras. Rowan's smile widened as if he had heard them anyway. The elevator dinged again. Doors opened. 2 men in dark jackets stepped out. They didn't run. They didn't talk. They carried paper the way some men carry guns. The nearest one lifted the paper and said, voice flat, Mara Velasquez and Daniel Vale. He started to read. Mara's phone lit with one more push from Lynn. No words. Just a single image, the wire control screen with a big red stamp across it that read released and the amount $50 million under it, and the name 12A Relief Trust, and the time 11:59 and 59 seconds a.m. The hold had slipped. Her throat closed. Her skin went cold. The room tilted in a way the breath couldn't fix. Daniel's eyes hit the screen and then the marshal's paper and then Rowan's face. Rowan's mouth moved. Mara didn't hear the words. The hospital hum fell away. The cleaner in green cried again without sound. The little star in the memo footer winked like a bad joke. The marshal's voice kept reading the charge in a list that tried to make the world tidy. The second hand on the wall clock jumped. Noon. The marshal's voice cut the air. Paper up. Words that bite: wire fraud, obstruction, conspiracy. Mara kept her breath on a count. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Don't let the room take you. Daniel didn't blink. Agent 4-7 slid one step between the paper and the people. His hand didn't touch the marshal. His badge did the talking. Active federal matter, he said. Hold a beat. Rowan stood by the TV, calm as rain. Harper's mouth was a clean line. The workers stared at screens and at each other and at the napkin on the table. Mara's phone glowed in her palm. Released, $50 million, 12A Relief Trust, 11 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. The numbers sat like ice. Tell me it's not gone, Daniel said, too low for cameras. Released from your bank, Agent 4-7 said. His voice stayed steady. Receiving can still freeze. I'm on it. He dialed. Fast words. Codes. A name. Compliance, now. A pause. He turned his body so his shoulders made a wall for the call. Under court order, yes, high-risk beneficiary, hold the incoming, yes, this control number. Another beat. 30 minutes? I'll take 30. He hung up. Not cleared, he said to Mara and Daniel. Receiving bank put it in a box. 30 minutes. Then we need a judge or it jumps. Rowan's laugh was soft. Boxes break, he said. A few workers flinched at the sound. The cleaner in green kept wiping a table that was already clean. Her eyes were wet and hard at the same time. The TV carried Rowan's final proof tease. He lifted a hand to a screen behind him that should have shown the hospital uplink. It didn't. Blank. He covered the miss without a blink. We will release documents after this event, he said, smooth. You'll see what she took. Mara felt a slice of relief. Telecom 12A was blind. The towel and the bag had worked. He couldn't push from here. Harper stepped toward the marshals like she was escorting them to a table. Do your job, she said softly. Agent 4-7 didn't look at her. Sir, he said to the lead marshal, you can serve and you can wait. Don't blow a live freeze. The marshal read on. And Ms. Mara Velasquez, he lowered the page to look her in the eye. He didn't have hate there. He had a schedule. You're coming with us. Daniel moved half a step. Not much. Enough? Let him finish, Rowan called, pleasant as coffee. People love closure. Mara's phone buzzed. Lynn, cafeteria vent device dead. Telecom dead. Good. But new login on Vail back office from unknown IP. Deputy CFO's creds. Queued test wire earlier. It landed fast. Small but enough to authenticate their path. Of course. The test had warmed the pipe. Kill her access, Mara told the CFO. I tried, he said. It won't take. His face was gray. Unplug, she said. We need power for the batch you're paying. Unplug the deputy's machine, she said. Call security. Now. He ran. Rowan's live ended with a neat smile and a promise. At 12:10, we'll share evidence with press. He stepped off frame. His lens team swung toward the cafeteria. He wanted new angles. Daniel lifted his phone again, hands steady. He went live. Plane shot. Workers behind him. No suits. He said the 6 words again and added 2, paying now. The cleaner in green looked down at her phone. Another deposit. Smaller. Real. She laughed out loud. People turned. Hope is loud when it's honest. Harper's face cracked, the tiniest thing. She typed into a thread so fast her thumb blurred. The marshal cleared his throat again. Ms. Velasquez. Mara stood. She didn't run. She didn't fold. You can read, she said. But you can also look. She pointed at the workers. At the phones. At the dead vent. We didn't touch patients. We paid people. Your proof was a camera in a hospital ceiling. The old IT woman from 12A shouldered in at that, lanyard swinging. She held a printout like a sword. Patient net untouched, she said, loud enough for the room. Guest junk only. Whoever taped a router to my rack can come explain that to me with their full name. A few people laughed. Nervous. Real. Agent 4-7 flashed the woman a quick nod. He said to the marshal, you can ride with us. Don't split the scene. Your paper stays clean, my wire stays frozen. The marshal looked at the room, the cameras, the weather in people's faces. He made the choice people make when the paperwork has to match a city. 5 minutes, he said. Then we move. Rowan's mouth ticked. Fine, he said. He looked at Daniel. Either way, your money leaves. He tipped his head at the napkin. Cute words. Expensive. Mara stepped closer to Daniel. We need the next judge now, she whispered. The lawyer called back at that second like he had been holding his breath for the same count. Emergency order signed for receiving bank, he said. 30 minutes extended to 2 hours. We can push to end of day if we land in front of Alvarez. I'm walking into his courtroom. Mara's knees almost went weak. Thank you, she said. Don't thank me, he said. Pay your people. She hung up. 2 hours, she told Agent 4-7. He nodded once. We buy time. We find the person on your net. We tie 12A to his name and to Rowan's. We show the star. As if the word dragged him in, Leon's name came over the radio, thin and sharp, transport lost pressure. Suspect claimed asthma, grabbed a pen, popped a latch, ran on a ramp. Lost behind a linen truck. Possible in hospital. Every head turned like a single animal. Agent 4-7 swore, quiet. Harper's eyes lit in a way she couldn't hide fast enough. Rowan's face didn't move. It didn't have to. Find S3, Mara said. He loves my doors. The marshal looked her way. You don't go hunting, he said. We're done playing. We're not playing, she said. Before he could answer, a low alarm rolled through the east wing. Not a fire scream. A puff of sound. The kind that says, we found smoke where there shouldn't be any. The old IT woman's radio crackled. Maintenance reports sweet odor near 12A West Duct. Source unknown. Vents, Mara said. Vents, 4-7 echoed. He was already moving. You, he pointed at the marshal, with me or behind me. Your call. The marshal looked at his partner. He made the choice again. With. Daniel glanced at the workers, then at Mara. Go, she told him. Keep paying. Keep the feed alive. He took her hand, fast, just once. Warm. Real. Come back, he said. He let go. He turned back to the table and the napkin and put his eyes on the thing he could carry. Mara ran. S3 stair. Concrete. Rubber. Numbers on the wall. The sweet note got stronger as they climbed. Not chemical. Candy. The kind that hides something else. 12A, the door they had opened. The paper sign they had left. Out of order. The push bar. The bar was warm under her palm. Agent 4 to 7 pressed and lifted. The door gave. The hall beyond looked the same and not. Light steady. Air wrong. Someone had pulled the towel off the telecom webcam and hung it on the door handle like a joke. The telecom door was closed. The cable was back on the latch. Fresh. Tight. Behind me, 4 to 7 said. She nodded. She didn't listen. They moved together anyway. He cut the cable. He eased the door an inch. The router was on again. The tape switch had been flipped. The Faraday bag sat open, empty. The little phone with 2 SIMs blinked LTE live like a happy pet. The vent booster we'd killed had a twin above the rack. New. It hummed like a small, hungry thing. A star sticker sat neat on the corner. Back, the agent said through his teeth. He stepped in. The door swung hard from the other side and hit him in the shoulder. He didn't fall. He grunted. He shoved. The door fought back. A body on the other side shoved too. Leon, Mara said. Rooms, his voice said. Close. Laughing. You keep walking into mine. Agent 4 to 7 shoved again. The door gave a hand's width. Leon's left shoulder showed in the gap. Lower. Always. The cuff bite ring marked his wrist. He smiled through the space with his eyes. Turn it off, the agent said. Leon's hand slid up into view with a small remote. He clicked. Somewhere behind the wall a relay snapped. The booster's hum deepened. A sweet smell thickened. It wasn't gas. It was a scent. Harmless on its own. A cue. To bring eyes. To make panic. He wanted the crowd more than the hurt. Stop, Mara said. You won't win here. Leon's teeth showed. Winning is rooms, he said. Watch. Agent 4 to 7 pushed hard. The door wrenched open enough for him to get a knee in. Leon vanished back toward the rack. The agent went through the gap sideways, small as a man his size could get. Mara slid after him and grabbed the rack leg with both hands to keep her feet. Leon moved like he had a map under his skin. He wasn't big. He was fast. He flicked the tape switch down. He yanked the Faraday bag from the floor and kicked it across the room. He slapped a second phone, smaller, thinner, onto the side of the rack with a magnet and hit its screen with his thumb. The uplink on the TV in the cafeteria blinked to life across the hall in the glass. A drip of video. A room. Her face. The vent. The towel on the handle. The star. Rowan's promise had a feed. No, the agent said. He reached for the small phone. Leon slid the rack and the whole thing moved 2 inches like a god. The small phone stayed just out of reach, stuck by magnet, screen bright, line clean. Get power, Mara said. The agent went for the power strip. Leon blocked with his body and his smile. He had a small blade in his hand. Utility. Box cutter. Nothing fancy. Enough to cut tape and skin. Don't, 4 to 7 said. He froze half a second because he had been taught not to rush blades in tight rooms. Leon used that half. He reached for the tape switch again. Mara didn't think. She moved. She grabbed the dead towel off the door handle and threw it like a net at Leon's face. He flinched. The blade flashed away from eyes and into air. The agent kicked the blade. It skittered under the rack and vanished like it had never been. Leon clicked the remote again anyway. The booster's hum climbed. The sweet note rolled like syrup out into the hall toward the stair. "Turn it off," Mara said. He winked. "Ask your friend Rowan," he said. "He owns the off today." She went for the magnet phone on the rack. Leon slapped her hand away and grinned. His wrist flashed the cuff mark again. He liked souvenirs. Agent 4-7 didn't aim for the switch this time. He grabbed the whole power strip and ripped it off the wall. The tape switch broke with a plastic scream. Lights blinked. The router stuttered. The little phone lost bars, found one, lost all. The booster died. The room went quiet except for breath. Leon stared at the dead strip. The smile left his mouth like light leaving a room. He didn't yell. He learned when to move. He lunged for the door. Mara stepped in front of it without thinking. He checked up hard. The two of them were close enough for her to see the pale scar near his thumb that had touched her life years ago. He smelled like cheap soap and rain and metal. "You think you're clean because you pay people now," he said, soft. "You made a flood and drowned her name to get yours back." Her chest tightened. She made the guilt sit down. "I didn't drown anyone," she said. "I opened a door." "Same thing," he said. He feinted right. She didn't bite. He went left. She moved with him. He bumped her shoulder with his dropped one. It hurt like a door frame. He tried to slip. Agent 4-7 hit him in the ribs with a fast, flat hand. Leon's breath left in a small sound. The marshal wedged in at the hinge with pure weight. He got a cuff on Leon's left wrist clean this time, not a trick. He went for the right. Leon laughed once, hard. "Vents," he said again. He yanked his left arm. The cuff held. He took that pain with his teeth. Sirens sang far and near at once. The hospital alarm hooped. People started to talk loud in the hall. The sweet smell did its ugly job. Fear moved like a tide. Agent 4-7 clicked his radio. 12A contained. Booster off. Uplink dead. Evac East Wing slow and calm. Repeat, calm. A voice answered in a rush, copy. Mara looked at the small phone on the magnet. It still blinked a weak bar, trying to push. She slapped it into the Faraday bag and sealed the flap. She held the bag like a heart. Leon watched her. Something sad slid through his eyes and was gone. "You wanted clean," he said. "Look at your hands." She looked. Ink from the diner note stained her palm. Grease from the rack smudged her fingers. Her skin was shaking. She didn't hide it. "I can live with this," she said. The marshal locked Leon's right wrist. The sound was a finish. Leon sagged like he had been holding himself up with a string. Then he smiled again, small and private. 12A was a trick," he said. "The real room has a new name now." "What name?" Mara asked. He shook his head. "You'll hear it when they call your case," he said. "Courts are rooms too." They pulled him through the door. He went without fighting now, loose, eyes ahead. He looked small for one breath and then not. Agent 4-7 leaned a hand on the rack and let the air come back. He looked at Mara. "You good?" She wasn't. She nodded anyway. "Wire?" she asked. He checked his phone. A message from the bank, hold extended by court order. Funds isolated for 120 minutes. Under it, another line, secondary wire attempt blocked. User access revoked. Mara's lungs came back to full. "Good," she said. It felt like standing on a boat that had just found the wave. Not done, he said. No, she said. They moved together back toward the stair. The sweet note thinned. The radio calmed. The hall felt less wrong. Down one flight. In the cafeteria, the crowd had swelled. Workers. Nurses. Orderlies. Phones up. Some filming. Some watching. Daniel stood with his back to the TV and his face to the room, still paying, one push at a time. The 6 words on the napkin sat between 2 coffee cups like a stone. Rowan stood at the far edge with his film crew. He saw Leon in cuffs come out of the stair with the marshal. He saw the old IT woman holding a dead router like a trophy. He saw the Faraday bag in Mara's hand. His mouth didn't move, but his eyes did, a fraction. A crack. Harper read her phone and lost color for 1 second. She turned away so a camera wouldn't see. The marshal stepped to Mara and lifted the paper again. We still have this, he said, softer now. We can do it quiet or not. Agent 4-7 said, you walk with me, not in cuffs. You answer questions with counsel. If anybody wants a show, they can go to the podium. The marshal looked at the room. The workers. The man paying. The woman with the router. He folded the paper an inch. Walk, he said. Mara turned to Daniel. He didn't speak big words. He squeezed her hand once, quick. It said, keep going. She nodded. It said, you too. Her phone buzzed one more time. Lynn, Judge Alvarez on calendar at 12:30. Lawyer is in. We can freeze to end of day. Also, one more thing, the name 12A Relief Trust just got changed in receiving bank records. New name on the account. You won't like it. What name? She typed. Lynn sent a screenshot. The field for account name had been edited 2 minutes ago by someone at the receiving bank with admin credentials. Maid's Fund. Her stomach dropped fast and far. The star sat in the corner of the screen, tiny and bright. Rowan's camera turned toward her like an eye. He started to speak for his noon 10. Agent 4-7 touched her elbow. We move now, he said. Mara kept her face still. Inside, something burned clean. Win clean, her mother said. Don't let them name you wrong. She lifted her head. She stepped forward with the marshal on one side and the agent on the other and the bag in her hand. Across the room, Rowan's smile reached for her from behind a row of lights. The TV above Daniel's table flicked. A new banner crawled across the bottom, slow and heavy. Bank records leak. Maid's Fund received $50 million at 11 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Phones lifted. Mouths opened. A sharp sound cut the room, a metal tray hitting tile somewhere behind the grill. Pete swore. Mara looked straight at Rowan. He winked. The marshal opened his mouth to speak the next word on his paper. The cafeteria doors blew inward. A wave of men in cheap suits with hard faces and hospital badges slid through like a tide that had a map. Not police. Not press. Private security. The hospitals? No. The foundations. The logo on their clips said Veil Trust in neat silver. They spread fast. They made a circle inside the room that wasn't for patients. Harper's smile came back like a knife. Agent 47's hand went to his badge. Rowan lifted his mic. Shall we, he said. Private security spread in a ring, slick jackets with Veil Trust on the clips. Phones rose. Workers stayed seated but straighter, coffee halfway to mouths, eyes hard. The marshals held their paper like it could steady the floor. Agent 47's badge shone wet under the cafeteria lights. Mara felt the room tilt toward him. Names were his game. He'd already stolen 12A. He'd stolen Maid's fund. He'd try to steal this room. Private event, a guard announced. Clear a path. Agent 4-7 didn't move. Active federal scene, he said, calm. No one clears anything. Rowan smiled, soft as a lie. We're here to help workers, he said into the mic, our new charity. Not yours, Mara said. Quiet, but the word cut. He heard it. He loved that she said it in a way he could catch. Maid's fund, he went on, savoring it. Already capitalized. 50 million, generous, at 11 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. We'll disperse responsibly. No, Daniel said. He didn't raise his voice. He just kept paying. A cleaner's phone buzzed. She gasped and covered her mouth with her hand. The sound rippled. Harper stepped forward with a folded permit. Hospital Foundation booked this space, she told the marshals, all concerned. Don't let this become a circus. The old IT lead planted herself next to the soda machine and held up a dead router like a bad fish. Your circus taped this to my rack, she said. A few workers snorted. Small laughs. They helped. The lead marshal looked at his partner, then at Agent 4-7. 5 minutes, he said. Then we move on the paper. Fair, 4-7 said. He glanced at Mara. Breathe. Rowan pivoted, smooth. While they coordinate, I'll offer something clean. He gestured toward the TVs. For years, a certain former employee ran a shadow operation. Mara's phone buzzed. Lynn, receiving bank freeze extended 2 hours, Judge Alvarez 12:30. Good. But watch deputy, she tried a second path, we blocked. Got it, Mara typed. Stay on logs. She put the phone down. She put her eyes on the people, not Rowan. The woman in green wiped her face with her sleeve and smiled at no one and everyone. This was the point. Not microphones. Not names. Harper's gaze tracked to Agent 4-7. Marshals, she said softly, serve the warrants. The marshal lifted the paper again. Mara Velasquez. Look around, Daniel said, louder now. This money is landing. Not in a fund. In pockets you refuse to see. That's what we stop now means. Today. Rowan didn't take the bait. He lifted his mic like a conductor. On the TVs, a graphic slid in, Maid's Fund, apply now with a QR code. The name felt like a thumb in Mara's chest. The cafeteria clock ticked to 12:02. The room hummed. Agent 4-7's phone lit. A bank voice, clipped, hold is live. We can extend to end of day with the right order. He nodded once, hung up. We're buying time, he told Mara. We still need the judge. A commotion at the stair. Leon came out between two marshals, cuffs real this time. He looked around like he was measuring a new room. He saw the napkin. He grinned. Courts are rooms, he said when he passed Mara. You'll like this one? She didn't answer. She was too busy not giving him her eyes. Private security tightened the ring. One reached for Daniel's phone. Agent 4-7 stepped in and the man thought better of his hand. Pay your staff, Rowan said into the mic, all grace. We'll handle the rest. Safely. Legally. Legally, Mara said, like changing an account's name to Maid's Fund mid-flight? A few heads turned. Harper's smile thinned. Rowan didn't blink. A generous rebrand, he said. Clearer for the public. Clearer for a theft, Mara said. He tilted his head. You know something about theft. Yeah, she said. I do. A phone buzzed on the table behind her. The CFO looked like he might be sick and kept typing anyway. We killed the deputy's keys, he said, breathless. Security got to her laptop. It was running remote. We pulled the plug. Good, Mara said. The marshals shifted. Their 5 minutes were ending. The lead lifted the paper once more. Ms. Velasquez. Agent 4-7 held up a hand. Walk with me, he told Mara. Not cuffs. She nodded. She turned to Daniel. He didn't make a speech. He squeezed her hand once. 30 minutes at a time, he said. Then noon, she said. It made no sense and all the sense. He understood. They took 2 steps and the cafeteria doors opened again. 2 men in suits with no logos and court hair walked in fast. Not marshals. Not cops. Process servers. One looked for Daniel. One looked for Mara. Harper's shoulders eased when she saw them. Papers in both hands. New rooms. The taller one found Daniel. Emergency order, he said. Temporary trustee for assets designated Maid's fund. Immediate transfer to court control. Daniel stared. From who? Yeah, she said. I do. A phone buzzed on the table behind her. The CFO looked like he might be sick and kept typing anyway. We killed the deputy's keys, he said, breathless. Security got to her laptop. It was running remote. We pulled the plug. Good, Mara said. The marshals shifted. Their 5 minutes were ending. The lead lifted the paper once more. Ms. Velasquez. Agent 4-7 held up a hand. Walk with me, he told Mara. Not cuffs. She nodded. She turned to Daniel. He didn't make a speech. He squeezed her hand once. 30 minutes at a time, he said. Then noon, she said. It made no sense and all the sense. He understood. They took 2 steps and the cafeteria doors opened again. 2 men in suits with no logos and court hair walked in fast. Not marshals. Not cops. Process servers. One looked for Daniel. One looked for Mara. Harper's shoulders eased when she saw them. Papers in both hands. New rooms. The taller one found Daniel. Emergency order, he said. Temporary trustee for assets designated Maid's fund. Immediate transfer to court control. Daniel stared. From who? Judge Merritt, the man said. State. Agent 4-7's lip went tight. We're in federal, he said. The server didn't care. He just held paper. The shorter one turned to Mara. Temporary restraining order, he said. Against harassment, interference, or public statements harming Foundation operations. He held another sheet. And a subpoena. Rowan watched like a cat near a bowl. Mara took the paper. The words were thick and proper and slanted, until hearing and in the interests of charity and reputational harm. A small star in the footer made her want to laugh and punch a wall at the same time. She felt the weight of too many rooms pressing, hospital, bank, court, news. For all her billions, she hadn't protected her mother. She hadn't been able to save that one soft thing from the world's teeth. Was she becoming like the people who broke things and called it order? No, she told herself. Win clean. Conference room, Agent 4-7 said. Now. He pointed at the old IT lead. Can you give me a line to a judge that won't drop? She barked a laugh. Honey, I routed surgeons through hurricanes. She waved them down the hall. Private security moved to block. Marshals moved to block the block. Workers stood without being asked and made a crooked, human corridor of scrubs and green tops and tired faces that said no. "Let them through," Pete said from behind the grill, wiping the same clean spot again. "Or eat eggs you don't want." It was enough. The ring loosened. They slipped into an admin room with a long table that had seen too many budgets and not enough truth. The IT lead stabbed a speakerphone into life and punched a number. It rang twice. Judge Alvarez, a man's voice said, dry and awake. "Your Honor," the lawyer said from the other end of the table, already there on a small screen. Emergency motion to extend a wire freeze and block a fraudulent name change tied to a live criminal investigation. "We have agent," he said the number. "We have victims. We have a very loud cafeteria." On speaker, Alvarez said. "Talk." Agent 4-7 laid it out in simple lines. No drama. Devices invents. A fund name changed mid-wire. A receiving bank's hold. A state order trying to grab. The napkin. The 6 words. The workers behind the door. Rowan's counsel dialed in at the same time from a clean office somewhere up a glass tower. "Your Honor, a philanthropic entity is being defamed. Funds have already been pledged to Maid's fund." "A name your side changed," the lawyer shot back. "Proof?" Alvarez asked. Mara slid the Faraday bag onto the table, took out the small phone and the magnet phone, and set down the storage satchel they'd pulled from 3C, its envelope stamped with photos and the neat block we stole. "We stop now." "Noon." She kept her hands steady. "We seized these this morning," she said. One device tied to the receiving bank login, the other to the hospital uplink. The satchel came from a unit rented under a shell that links to Leon Varela, who is now in custody. "Chain of custody?" Alvarez asked. Agent 4-7 rattled off times, locations, and a case number the way men do who live in rooms where details matter. "We can courier," he said. "We can screen share. We can walk it to your clerk in 10. "Do that," Alvarez said. "And Ms. Velasquez?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Are you interfering with a hospital's systems?" "No," she said. "We bagged devices off the guest net and turned off one booster. Patient net never touched. Chief IT is here." The woman leaned toward the mic. "True," she said. "Also, someone taped junk to my rack. If you want me to swear, I can swear." Alvarez sighed like a man with too many fires and not enough water. "State order." The lawyer's square jaw appeared in a window. "Judge Merritt," he said. "Ex parte, 5 minutes before noon." "Of course," Alvarez said, a dry bite in his voice. "I'll call him after I sign." He dictated. It took less than a minute but felt like a floor being poured, freeze extended to end of day. Name change void pending hearing. Any disbursement by entities using Maid's fund enjoined. Federal precedents over related state relief to preserve assets. Mara breathed. She didn't smile. Time. That was all. "Counsel," Alvarez said, "get me real proof on the link between this Maid's fund and Mr. Pierce. I want direct lines. Names. Phones. Do it now." "Yes, Your Honor," the lawyer said. "Ms. Velasquez," Alvarez added, "I will not stop the marshals from serving you. Answer questions. Do not run your own show inside my show." "Understood." "Understood," she said. The line clicked off. The room felt smaller again. Harper stood in the doorway the second the call ended, like the conversation had pulled her. "Cute," she said. "You bought ours." "Enough," Mara said. "For what?" Harper asked. "To build your own PR? Your own fund." "To pay people today," Mara said. "Not in a month." not to a name you stole. Harper's eyes chilled. You're not the only one who can write a story on a screen. Then tell the truth, Mara said. Harper didn't answer. She stepped back into the hall. Agent 4-7 leaned on the table for 1 second, both palms flat. He straightened. Marshals, he said, and they brought their paper in without theater. Ms. Velasquez, the lead told her. Subpoena served. TRO served. We need you downtown for processing and a sit-down. Not cuffs. Today. Now, she asked. He glanced at 4-7. 2 hours, he said. Use them. She nodded. We'll ride with you, 4-7 told the marshals. No press walk. They stepped back into the cafeteria. It had grown. Not bodies, wait. The workers weren't whispering anymore. They were talking to each other. Sharing screens. Showing deposits. A nurse laughed like a bark and high-fived an orderly. The cleaner in green hugged Pete and spilled coffee on his shoe, and he didn't care. Rowan had his camera on. He stood beneath a TV like a man under a portrait of himself. We will coordinate with Maid's fund, he said. Name's void, Agent 4-7 said, passing, not stopping. He didn't shout it. He let it land. Rowan heard. Something moved in his jaw. For now, he said into the mic, smooth as oil. If you wish to apply. No, Daniel said. He lifted his phone. Apply here. We pay today. The numbers rolled. The room chose which show it wanted. Simple and loud. A security man's radio cracked. Foundation wing downstairs is filling up, a voice said. Press everywhere. Harper read her screen. Her face paled, then went hard. She looked at Rowan. State judge may be backing off, she said under the noise. Alvarez is calling him. Rowan gave half a nod. He turned his camera to frame himself tighter. He smiled. He could keep smiling through storms. That was his gift. Agent 4-7's phone buzzed. He read. Bank confirms, he told Mara. Hold stands. Name void. Merritt's clerk asked for your filings. Alvarez did more than call. Mara swallowed. Good. She should have felt safe. She didn't. Leon's words crawled in her head, courts are rooms. The real switch is in there. Back office, she told the CFO. Keep paying. Print receipts. Printable is a wall no one can kick in. He nodded and ran. A small hand tugged her sleeve. The woman in green stood there, eyes red, screen in her hand. I don't know what to do with this, she said. I didn't think it would happen. By rest, Mara said. By light. By time. The woman laughed a little, wet. Okay. Mara turned to Agent 4-7. Let's go, she said. They moved with the marshals toward the side exit, not the front. Private security tried to drift that way. Workers drifted too, like water finding a slope, and blocked the drift with bodies and trays and the weight of enough. Rowan watched them leave. He lifted his eyes. For the first time, he looked tired. Then the camera light hit him and he looked like TV again. The hallway gave them a quiet minute and then took it back. A court runner came breathless around the corner with a new folder and a rain jacket still dripping. He held it up like a prize. For you, he said to Daniel. Daniel took it. He read the first page. His face didn't move. He handed it to the agent, then to Mara. Order to show cause, emergency at 3 p.m. today. Motion by Vail Foundation to appoint themselves as interim trustee over all funds designated for domestic worker relief, citing confusion in the marketplace and brand dilution. A footnote. Tiny. A star. Beneath it, an exhibit, a glossy one-sheet for Maid's fund with a photo of a smiling woman in a green top who looked like the cleaner who had hugged Pete. The caption, "From the people, for the people." The photo had been scraped from the stream 30 minutes ago. Repurposed. Owned. Mara's stomach pulled. Heat followed. Rowan wasn't just stealing names. He was stealing faces in real time. "You can't use her," Mara said, voice flat. "You made it public," Harper said at her shoulder, soft like sugar. She had followed without sound. "We're simply helping." Agent 4-7 looked like he might do something that would cost him a suspension. He didn't. He breathed once and put the paper under his arm like a thing he'd feed to a judge. The marshals opened the side door. Rain hit hard. Cars waited under the overhang like sharks with their mouths closed. 2 hours, the lead said again. 30 minutes at a time, Mara said. They stepped into the wet. The SUV doors opened. A bank courier hustled up the ramp under a plastic poncho with a hard case cuffed to his wrist. He looked like the last man in a heist movie. He held out a clipboard to Agent 4-7. "Devices," he said. "Judge wants them now." Agent 4-7 signed. He loaded the bag with the phones and the satchel into the case. The courier locked it. "Straight to Alvarez," he said, and vanished into the rain like a stage direction. Mara climbed into the SUV. The door thumped shut. The world got small and smelled like damp and vinyl. Agent 4-7 slid in beside her. The marshal's sedan pulled ahead. Daniel's car stayed behind, back to the cafeteria, back to the napkin. Her phone buzzed one more time. Lynn, last thing, receiving bank's admin made a log note on the name change. "It's a comment you should see. Sending now." A screenshot filled her screen. A back-office note box with a single line typed by the bank admin at 12 hours 1 minute and 17 seconds. Per caller R. Pierce, rename beneficiary to Maid's fund to avoid confusion. Caller referred to ex parte order by Judge Merritt. Verified by internal contact HR. HR. Harper Reed. Mara turned the screen to Agent 4-7. He read. He didn't smile. "We have our line," he said. Rain beat time on the roof. The wipers dragged it away. The SUV rolled. Her breath found the count. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. She let the fear talk once and then made it sit. They hit the light at the corner. It stayed red too long. The radio filled the space with addresses. A truck rumbled past with linens, big and white, like weather. Her screen lit again. A new email slid in like a knife. From Receiving Bank Compliance. Subject, hold, control #. Body, urgent, funds released under court order 12:15 p.m., order attached. She opened it. A scanned stamp. A signature. Not Alvarez. Not Merritt. Judge Halston, Chancery. State. Downtown. Ex parte. To prevent irreparable harm to charitable beneficiaries, the court orders release to interim trustee pending full hearing. Agent 4-7's jaw clenched. "That's not his lane," he said. "He can't jump a federal freeze." The SUV took the turn. The courthouse rose ahead, gray and square, a new room with a new name. Mara stared at the stamp. Her chest went tight. Leon's words echoed, "Courts are rooms." Rowan didn't need the hospital uplink anymore. He had the hallway he wanted. The SUV's brakes hissed as they pulled to the curb. Agent 47's phone rang again. The lawyer. His voice came through with city noise behind it. Bad news, he said, breathless. Halston signed in a side chamber. He's holding a charity hearing in 15. The marshal's radio crackled, media swarm outside Main. Foundation counsel already in line. Agent 47 looked at Mara. Rain ran down the glass like time. You ready? He asked. She nodded once. Move the table, she said. They pushed the doors open into wet light. Across the street, under a forest of umbrellas, Rowan stood on the courthouse steps with a mic and a smile and a banner behind him that said Maid's Fund in clean blue letters. Harper lifted a hand to the cameras. This way, she said. Mara stepped out onto slick stone. The air smelled like rain and paper and the inside of a storm. Somewhere inside the building, a clerk called a name for a case. Not hers. Not yet. Agent 47's hand found the small of her back without touching. Stay on my shoulder, he said. They climbed the steps. The doors swallowed them. The hall took their feet. And a voice on the PA said, clear and thin. Chancery, emergency, Maid's Fund versus Velasquez, Vale, Courtroom 3. Courtroom 3 felt like a clean box that swallowed noise. Wood. Flags. A clock that didn't care. People in suits tried to look small on benches built to test backs. Mara sat at the table with Agent 47 on her right and the lawyer on her left. The marshals stood behind like quiet walls. Daniel slid into the second row, damp sweater, jaw tight, eyes on her. He looked like a man who wanted to pick up a weight for her and knew he couldn't. Rowan took the other table with a smile that fit the room too well. Harper sat beside him with a legal pad and a pen that clicked in her fingers like a small metronome. Vale Trust Counsel carried folders with tabs the color of candy. Judge Halston stepped in. Thin. Neat. Hair combed like a line. He looked at the banners on the filings and then at the people, as if he knew the paper might lie and the faces might not. On the record, he said. Maid's Fund versus Velasquez, Vale. Ex parte order signed at 12:15 is before the court for clarification. I'm told federal orders exist. I'm told there's a crowd under my window. We will keep voices low and sentences short. He looked at Mara. Ms. Velasquez, you have a subpoena and a temporary order. You will not be arrested here. You will answer, then meet the marshals after. Understood? Yes, Your Honor, she said. Her voice stayed even. Her heart tried to run. She kept it on a leash. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. He looked at Rowan. Mr. Pierce, you seek to install an interim trustee over funds called Maid's Fund, which you claim serves workers. Correct, Your Honor, Rowan said. Calm. Sweet. We saw confusion online. We stepped in to avoid harm to innocent people. By renaming an account Midwire and pointing cameras at a cafeteria, the lawyer said. Halston raised a hand. One at a time. Agent 47 slid a thin folder forward. Your Honor, federal freeze in place. Judge Alvarez voided the name change pending hearing. We have devices seized and a bank log tying the change to a call from our Pierce, verified by HR at the receiving bank. We ask you to respect the freeze and vacate the release. He pushed the printout across. Halston read the line. Verified by internal contact HR. His eyes flicked up to Harper and back down. Her pen stopped clicking for half a second. Harper leaned to her mic. Your Honor, initials prove nothing. Those are common. The courtroom phone on the clerk's desk rang once. The clerk picked up, listened, and handed a note to Halston. He read. His mouth tightened a hair. Counsel, he said to Rowan's table, did you contact the receiving bank? Our foundation team coordinates, Harper began. With whom? The judge asked. She smiled small. With their charity desk. Name? He asked. Not at hand, she said. Mara kept her face still. Inside, she wanted to stand and hold up the star and shout a name. She didn't. Win clean. The lawyer tapped the table twice with one finger. Your Honor, there is also the matter of source. The so-called Maid's Fund branding appeared afternoon with scraped images of low-wage workers from our live stream. We submit this as Exhibit N. He held up the glossy one sheet with the woman in green. The caption smiled like a lie. The woman's face looked back at Mara, tired and bright and stolen. Halston looked at the page, then at the back row, where the woman in green sat with a hospital badge and her phone heavy in her hand. She was here. Pete sat beside her in a clean shirt. He looked like he wanted to argue with a toaster again. Ms. Reed, Halston said. Did your side use this woman's image without consent for a court filing? Harper's eyes didn't blink. It was a draft. Media plan. Not a court filing. But in my packet, he said, lifting it. She held his gaze. An eager junior might have. Enough, he said. He turned to Rowan. Mr. Pierce, answer this. Did you instruct a bank to rename an account to Maid's Fund at 12:01? Rowan's smile didn't move. Your Honor, I cannot speak to back office chatter. Our counsel. I asked you, Halston said. A beat. A breath. No, Rowan said. Smooth. Mara felt heat under her ribs. The star on the log burned in her head. Harper's pen clicked again, steady now. Agent 4-7 stood. Your Honor, with respect, he said. We can get the bank admin on the line. Halston glanced at the clock, then at the windows where rain washed gray light. You have 2 minutes. The clerk dialed. A voice came thin over the speaker, a woman, older, careful. Compliance. Agent 4-7 identified himself in the dry way he had. Case number. Control number. Who called you to change the name? He asked. The woman didn't sigh, but the sound was in her words. Caller identified himself as R. Pierce. He mentioned an ex parte order. He asked for the rename and a release. I placed the change with a note and I am now being yelled at by 3 judges. Halston's mouth twitched. An HR. Internal contact at donor's side, the woman said. Female. Confirmed the ask and sent me the PDF of the order. I wrote the initials. I will not read a full name on open line without counsel. Thank you, Halston said. Stand by. You'll get another call. He clicked off. Counsel, he said to Harper. We will revisit the call. For now, my bench respects federal primacy. The release is stayed. Interim trustee request is denied without prejudice. No entity will disburse funds under the name Maid's Fund pending a joint hearing. He banged his gavel once. So ordered. A small sound ran through the room, like air getting back into lungs. The woman in green let out a breath and covered her mouth. Pete whispered good into his sleeve. Daniel looked at his knees and then at Mara. Rowan's jaw tightened for a blink and was smooth again by the time he lifted his eyes. We'll appeal, he said softly, for Harper only. She nodded without looking at him. Halston turned to Mara. Now, Ms. Velasquez. Subpoena says testify about methods. Yes, Your Honor, she said. He looked at Agent 4-7. Admonish your witness. The agent leaned in. Tell truth. Don't teach, he whispered. It made something in her chest settle. She kept it simple. I used public filings. I used worker tips. A journalist helped. I did not touch patient networks. I bagged 2 devices planted by Leon Varela Invents and Telecom. I gave them to federal custody. I timed a release to protect workers on a day when power wanted to move quiet. I'm not proud of the mess. I'm proud the money moved. Harper stood. You also staged a scene at a diner and recorded a billionaire for leverage. Mara didn't look at her. We asked him to tell the truth. He did. Harper turned to the judge. Your Honor, this is a vigilante with a brand. She built a flood to make herself a hero. For all my billions, Mara thought, the old line stabbing, I couldn't protect the one I loved. She pushed the ache down. I built a door, she said, steady. Not a brand. Rowan rose with the soft power of a man who expects rooms to bend. Your Honor, he said, this is chaos. We offer order. We offer to pay, safely. Under your name, the lawyer said. Rowan smiled at the judge, not the lawyer. Under the law. Halston looked at the clock. 12:28, he looked at the marshals. He looked at the paper pile. He rubbed the bridge of his nose like a man holding a small headache made of other people's hands. Here is what happens, he said. Federal freeze stands to end of day unless Judge Alvarez says otherwise. No state orders move money without full hearing. Ms. Velasquez will surrender to marshals at 2 p.m. for processing and release. Mr. Vale will continue payments from personal, with receipts. If I see one more ex parte order on a lunch break, I will find every lawyer who touched it and read them a book. A small laugh lived in the benches and died fast. He lifted his gavel. We reconvene at 3, joint with Alvarez by video, to sort the rest. He brought the gavel down. The room exhaled. Mara let her shoulders drop a fraction. Agent 4-7 tapped the table once. The lawyer closed his folder like a door. Rowan leaned toward Harper. She nodded at something on her screen. He looked at Mara. His smile came back slow and thin and private. Not for cameras. For her. The clerk started to call the next case. Papers rustled. The benches creaked. People stood. And then the side door of the courtroom opened and a bailiff slid in with a new stack, face tight. He handed the top sheet to Halston. The judge read it. The skin at the side of his eyes changed. Counsel, he said, voice cool. We have an emergency in family division. Petition filed at 12:20. Pierce versus Vale. Temporary guardianship of a minor. Child of Mr. Vale. Allegation, unfit parent due to criminal investigation, immediate danger, need for non-impacted trustee to protect the minor beneficiary. The words hit the benches like a wave. Daniel went still. The room tilted. For a second, Mara heard nothing but her pulse. Rowan didn't smile this time. He looked at Daniel with a face she hadn't seen on him. Hungry and kind at once. It's for her safety, he said, so soft only a few could hear. Mara felt the old cold climb her back and the new clean fire burn it off. You missed a piece. No. She hadn't missed it. He moved it. Halston's jaw set. This is not the place, he said, but the words didn't stop the hall outside from filling with new voices and new paper and a new judge's name rolling down a corridor like a steel ball. Agent 4-7 leaned close. We split. Lawyer to family. You to marshals at 2. I cover both. 30 minutes at a time. Mara nodded. She looked at Daniel. His hands were fists on his knees. He turned his head and met her eyes. There was fear there. And something else. Resolve. He nodded once, like he had decided what he would give up to keep what mattered. Win clean, she heard in her head. Don't let them name you wrong. The bailiff called another matter. The room moved around them. Mara stood. She picked up the Faraday bag and the napkin and slid them both into her backpack. The star on the banknote burned in her mind like a small sun. Rowan stepped into her path at the aisle, close enough that she could see the rain on his collar. He spoke without moving his lips much. "Noon was yours," he said. 3 o'clock is mine. She didn't stop. She didn't look away. "You don't own rooms," she said. "You rent them." He smiled like a man who built the building. Agent 4-7 touched her elbow. "Time," he said. They stepped out into the hall. The courthouse air tasted like paper and old coffee and weather. The clock over the stairs said 12:33. Down the corridor, a sign pointed left, Family Division, Emergency. To the right, Clerk, Filings. Straight ahead, Exit. Mara breathed. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. The next fight would cut a different way. Not money. Not wires. A child. She should have seen it sooner. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't want to. She turned toward the marshal's desk like she'd promised. Agent 4-7 turned the other way toward the family door. Daniel stood for one heartbeat, caught between hallways, then moved toward the left like a man walking into a fire he would not let touch his daughter. Harper and Rowan walked behind him, paper in hand, cameras in tow, smiles ready. The lights hummed. The rain pounded the windows. The PA crackled with names. Mara closed her eyes for half a beat. When she opened them, she was still here. Not small. Not big. Here. She walked toward the desk. Behind her, a clerk's voice rose. Family Division, Emergency, Pierce versus Vale, Judge Whitlow, 1 p.m. Mara told herself to walk. Not run. Not freeze. Walk. She headed for the marshal's desk like she promised. Agent 4-7 peeled away toward Family Division with Daniel and the lawyer. The hallway smelled like wet coats and old paper. The PA called names that didn't care about hers. At 12:57, her phone buzzed with a text from 4-7. Court 5, Judge Whitlow. You can sit in back. Marshal's okay. She turned. The marshal at her elbow gave the smallest nod. 5 minutes, he said. Then 2 p.m. we do the paperwork. She went. Family court was smaller. Lower bench. Thicker air. A handful of people sat shoulder to shoulder, tired parents, a social worker, a woman clutching a manila folder like it was a life vest. Daniel sat front row, hands together, jaw tight. Across the aisle, Rowan had that clean face on, the one that sold kindness. Harper sat beside him with a fresh legal pad. Judge Whitlow came in with a tired kind of gravity. He looked at the caption, then at the room. Emergency petition, Pierce versus Vale, he said. Temporary guardianship. Child safety. Everyone stays calm. Everyone uses short words. Rowan rose. Your Honor, Mr. Vale is under a criminal investigation that may threaten his daughter's safety. The trust. Daniel stood. My daughter was taken tonight, he said, steady. From my building's service level. By a man tied to Mr. Pierce's side. She is safe now. With me. A breath moved through the benches. The judge's face changed a fraction. Proof, he said. Agent 4-7 stepped forward and gave the judge a slim packet. Affidavit, he said. Recovery at Vale Tower S2 East. Suspect, Leon Varela. In custody. Devices seized. Ongoing case. Whitlow skimmed fast. He flipped to a photo, the staff locker room, the star sticker, the little chair. He set the page down slow. Mr. Pierce, he said without looking up. Rowan spread his hands. I'm as shocked as anyone, he said softly. My petition is only about stability for a child. Harper slid a paper forward. The trust document allows a non-impacted trustee to act when there's immediate threat. Mr. Vale is under federal review. Federal review of who? The judge asked. Agent 4-7, we have probable cause on Varela and others. We also have a bank log that ties a fraudulent Maid's fund to a call verified by HR. He let the initials sit there. Whitlow's eyes lifted to Harper. Is that you, Ms. Reed? Her pen paused. Initials prove nothing, she said. Names do, the judge said. You'll give them to the clerk by 3. He turned to Daniel. Where is the child now? With my sister, Daniel said. At home. 2 blocks from here. She's with 2 agents and a dog that snores. A laugh coughed out of the tired benches. Even Whitlow's mouth twitched. Ms. Velasquez, the judge said, looking past the rows like he could see behind Mara's eyes. You're not a party, but you have a pulse in this. Say one sentence. Mara stood. He used Sophie to move a board. The cleaner in green, Rosa, she told Mara now, shy, lifted her phone and waved. It hit, she said. I can pay the thing that scared me. She laughed through tears and wiped them with the back of her hand. Thank you. Mara shook her head. No, thank you, she said. It wasn't a line. It was true. Agent 4-7 joined them. He looked at the sticker on her phone and then at the cuffs on Rowan in the far car. Not over, he said. It never is, she said. But this part is, he said. Walk. She walked with him back inside for the last small room of the day. The marshals did the rest. Forms. A court date. A promise to appear. No cuffs. She signed where they pointed. She kept the pen because no one told her not to. When she came out, the rain had let up. The light had that after-storm shine. The city smelled like wet concrete and new chances. She and Agent 4-7 stopped at the bottom of the steps. He offered a hand. She shook it. His grip was firm and warm and not trying to own anything. You did it clean, he said. I tried, she said. Try again tomorrow, he said. I will, she said. Daniel's car slid to the curb. The back window rolled down. Sophie leaned across the seat with a grin that didn't know the words for quartz. Hi, she said. We have extra pancakes. Mara's chest pulled tight in a new, good way. Later, she said. I have to sleep. Okay, Sophie said. She held up a sheet of stickers and pressed one to the glass. It stuck a little crooked. Perfect. The window went up. The car pulled away. The street took it. Mara stood on the sidewalk and looked up at a slice of sky between buildings. Not much. Enough. She thought of the bench at the airport and the cold in her back. She thought of the scent of lemon polish and the white kitchen that had once made her feel small. She thought of the service hallway where she used to listen to other people's laughter through doors. She wasn't the girl from that hallway anymore. She wasn't the maid sleeping on a bench because the world said stay small. She had built a line and walked it and held it. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Own the room. Her phone buzzed once in her hand. Lynn, go home. Shower. I'll guard the wires. She smiled. You always do. She tucked the phone in her pocket. The star pressed against her palm. Warm. She turned toward the street and started walking. Not running. Not freezing. Walking. The kind of step that says, I will be here tomorrow. The kind that says, I can move a room. Above her, the sky opened a little more. And Daniel Vale, billionaire, father, man who had learned to say 6 hard words in a diner, watched her go and knew, in a way that stung and helped, that he would never look at her the old way again. She wasn't the same woman he once knew. She never would be.